Update 6 is out. They somehow managed to get this bad boy finished in the month of April. What a gift. I've just finished my first heist of the patch with a bloody legend of a heister. Time to press E and squad up for a massive session. Alright, just gonna ask him what heist's up next so we can get to planning. Oh, there's no chat function on the main menu. We're just stuck here, together, in silence. I have no mouth, and I must scream. Wow, if there was a way to convey how it feels to be a Payday-focused creator in 2024, the dystopian suffering conveyed by Harlan Ellison's post-apocalyptic sci-fi novel might start to scratch the surface. All joking aside, it's been tough, and it isn't hard to see why. With each new Operation Meditbag update, I'm left questioning how these oversights are slipping through the cracks, why Starbreeze's priorities seem to be all over the place when it comes to implementing real change to the game, and just when is it too late to turn things around? I'm not that mad about the party up function. It's not its fault the base game made such a hash of communication tools and functions pretty much as you'd hope for otherwise. But Payday 3 is just so fragmented at this point, with parts of Operation Meditbag finally cropping up, but feeling unfinished, like temporary holdovers and unsupported by actual content that's worth playing. At this stage, it's hard to say if people aren't playing the game because it's a logistical broken nightmare, or if it's just because they don't care. During launch, there was so much vitriol thrown the way of creators and developers, and it was miserable, but it was a sign of passion and desire to see a better game. Now, more than 7 months later, it feels like we're entering the acceptance phase of Payday 3 grief. That's really the theme of my coverage of this update today. It's not bad, please don't misunderstand me. It adds a number of much needed features, and the bits of tangible new content that we can experience as of Update 6 are actually far wider reaching and better implemented than I ever anticipated. Yet there's no fanfare around their addition. Peeling back the curtain, half of the best, most impactful changes didn't even make it into the patch notes. New animations for sprinting, crouching, and seemingly aiming have been added to the game, and they really do make a difference. It might take a bit of time to get used to movement when shooting, especially while strafing, as that can feel a little clunky and throw off your aim, but that's probably just going to take a bit of getting used to. In general, the movement animations do a fair bit for my FPS immersion, and it's not really mentioned in the patch notes at all. Implemented improvements to the player crouch walk animation doesn't even come close to doing it justice. Still, I suppose you can't be too mad with an update when its creators are not even confident enough in its contents to bother to write down all of its features. There's no false pretense here, no one has faith in Update 6. In all seriousness, I can't fathom why the guys constantly oversell random bug fixes and then fail to share one of the most significant gameplay tweaks in the entire update. More cross wires behind the scenes, I suspect. But one new feature the guys weren't shy about bringing to our attention is the new quickplay menu. I'm not exactly going to wax lyrical about its UI implementation, but it does work as intended, which is the least we could hope for. Simply choose your difficulty and you'll be match made into whichever lobbies exist, active or otherwise. If no one else is searching, you'll simply be placed in your own lobby at the requested difficulty, meaning in a sense it is a functional heist randomizer. But Kknowley, you cry. I know there's only about 300 players on Steam at any point in time, but surely that's enough to find at least one populated lobby. Well, you might expect that to be the case, but sadly, matchmaking is region locked, even in quickplay. The game will place you in an empty lobby rather than subjecting you to that Australian ping. Look, I get it, high ping sucks, but surely it should just prioritise connection before looking for lobbies further afield. It feels like such a half-hearted solution otherwise. That aside, it is pretty quick at placing you in a heist, as quick as Payday 3 server lobbies can be really, and will be a useful function for console players in particular who can't access mods like the wonderful server browser I mentioned recently. Now, this is just quickplay version 1, but is that really something we should accept? That Starbreeze need our feedback and more time to develop this into a quickplay system with more functionality? I don't know about you guys, but didn't they implement this years ago for Payday 2? It seems obvious. Proximity, let us decide if we're willing to lag for a better chance of finding a game. Strategy, filled lobbies at the moment are going to lead to more animosity between stealth and loud players. Surely a strategy filter for quickplay would save so much heartache in the long run. Not to sound ungrateful, because even in this bare-bones state it's a much needed function, but iterating on Payday 3 is like pulling teeth for the dev team at the moment, with any positive step in the right direction needing a heavy disclaimer attached to it. Just like the one I already shared for the new post-game party up function, VoIP is even more necessary now if we're actually going to form functional heisting parties and be able to communicate which bloody heist we want to play next. It's the bare minimum. We're told there are loads of crash fixes coming too. I didn't find the game to be too unstable as of late, but this can only be a positive until some new error inevitably crops up and ruins all this good work. The skip mission intro button has also been added if you don't want to suffer through those clunky intro cutscenes that exist on all heists, making heist restarting just a bit more bearable. This is a feature you can turn on permanently from the menu if you so desire. Moving on to gameplay additions, I was pleasantly surprised by the quality and quantity of what Update 6 had in store. This might just be my low expectations talking, but I thoroughly enjoyed trying out the new shot grenade throwable, and was honestly blindsided by the wonderful work of the animation team, who have once again shown their pedigree with 4 new weapon inspect animations across the fully auto assault rifle category. The KU-59, VF-7S, Northwest, and of course Car 4 all now have them. All of these are ammo contextual, so they will vary depending on how many shots you fired, which is the kind of attention to detail I've come to not expect from Payday 3 recently. Top stuff across the board, in particular the keepy up skills shown during the VF-7S's inspect is incredible. Silly, but incredible. I think it's why we always need to show a little restraint when talking about devs as a collective, because I truly believe Starbreeze still holds some excellent talent working on the game. It's a light in the tunnel, I suppose. Alongside these weapon animations, they also added new first-person interactions, first for vault door opening, which looks great, unless it's on a smaller door like on Touch the Sky, where I'm not quite sure it works. The only other one I've found is for dealing with power boxes like those on the main road of No Rest for the Wicked. And of course, I couldn't forget the addition of an actual playable space within the escape van. It's been a much requested feature for Payday 3 from day one, back when we thought that was the extent of this game's problems. And ironically, this is still a good change, not just for its minor gameplay applications, but because it's kinda intrinsically linked to that heisting fantasy. Just standing near the van to complete a heist always felt a little hollow, so yeah, it seems silly to get excited over, but I'm pleased to see whatever issues they were having with entering the van have now been sorted. Armor kits have also now been added to most heists in the game, if they have a security room to easily house them, with each one I've played holding 3 per heist within the lockers. With Clean Slate, this is more armor capacity, something the whole community was crying out for about 6 months ago, before the entire resource economy went tits up back in Update 4. More patching out of order, in my opinion. Lastly, the shot grenade was added, the only new tool in our arsenal to mess around with that might just drag people onto the game to try out. As I've said before, this thing was never going to be enough to make trying out an entire update worthwhile, but it does a damn sight better than I expected it to. It's a throwable with a base capacity of 3 that works as an alternative to stun grenades, which are already powerful. But much to my surprise, there is an argument to run this thing over stuns in certain situations because they can one-shot shields who regularly counter throwables, as well as tasers who probably didn't need another counter, but hey ho. For other enemy types outside of bulldozers, if they're within the range of this thing's initial activation, they will be stunned and locked in place, with repeat activations holding them still for even longer if they stay within its electric radius. Even better, this effect is passed between cops and civilians alike to extend its area of effect, making it very easy to take down an entire group of cops who are under its influence. Genuinely, this thing is very powerful and fun to use, as I found a build focused around to be totally viable on overkill. I think one area where the designers missed a trick was by integrating skills around its usage. Tactician does work to extend its radius, but a skill like Expose, which would have removed stun cops' armor, was missed out on. This seems like a shame, as a stun and gun combo could have been fun and avoided the need for other overpowered crutch skills such as Cutting Shot that we know they're desperately trying to hide. In any case, try this thing out with Overcook to give it an instant stun effect and enjoy its power and silliness firsthand. Honestly, I was a cynic when I first saw it announced, but it's actually really fun. Don't get me wrong, it's still not enough to redeem an update, but for us hardcore fans who keep searching for reasons to play, it might just help. There are a few other miscellaneous additions, such as Shade finally calling out overkill weapons once they've been earned. I think one day we might get to hear all those lines hidden away within the game file since before launch, and as of Update 6, we're at least one step closer. Also, how could I forget the helmet pop sticker from the April Fool's video? Payday 3 is truly back. In conclusion, this update doesn't really have an identity and probably won't make a dent in those ailing player numbers. It's a bit toothless, and every area of real improvement tends to be caveated with some sort of drawback. The kind of update you forgive for being mostly forgettable when the next one arrives a week, not a month, later. But it's not without its redeeming qualities, so all hope is not completely lost. I am, however, running out of dramatic video titles, so they'll need to turn this around soon, or I'll be out of a job. Thanks so much for watching, guys. Take care, and I'll see you all in the next one. A huge thank you to my dedicated Patreon backers. If you want to join this crew in going infamous, check out the link below and pledge as little as $2 to see your name in the credits, or get 24-hour early access to future videos and vote on upcoming content. Take care, I'll see you all soon.